Hare Krishna everyone, and welcome to episode 107 of the Welsh Yogi podcast. Today our guest is Gangeya prabhu, who's a monk in the ashram here in Wales, and he's also got the service of cooking the delicious spiritualized food that we serve at Govinda's and in Krishna. In this episode we talk about the importance of cooking and offering our food to Krishna as an act of service, and how that's an integral part of the Bhakti Yoga process. We also talk about everyone's favourite subject, feasting on this delicious spiritualised cuisine, so it's really a corker. Speaking of feasting, just a quick announcement before the podcast starts. This Tuesday, the 3rd of March, we're going to be celebrating Gora Pranim, which is basically Hare Krishna New Year. So if you can, please come down to Bayview House at 4 p.m. on Tuesday the 3rd of March. Come celebrate, and also, more importantly, come feast with us. Without any further ado, roll the intro.
Welcome to the Welsh Yogi Podcast.
Hare Krishna everyone, welcome to the Welsh Yogi Podcast. This is episode 107. Today we're joined live in the studio by Bhakti Rupa Prabhu,
Hare Krishna.
myself, brahmacari, and our guest, Gangeya prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Gangaya, do you want to give yourself a little introduction?
He has been on a podcast before, mind.
He has actually, yeah.
Yeah, if you want to hear his podcast, then go to episode number 71. But we got his life story in that episode,
Yes.
which was cool.
Yeah, it was a nice episode actually. I enjoyed doing it.
But how have you been?
Yeah, it's been great. But now I'm cooking a lot, so I think that's why we're here.
Let's get down to business.
Yeah, it's been great. It's been a nice experience. Very different rhythm, I'd say, different intensity. I still do book distribution, but yeah, it's a bit of a balance. And going out on the street is definitely a very different environment than being in the kitchen, and different skills involved. And yeah, it's been very enlivening and exciting to also have that diversity within my life. Yeah, it's been nice.
Nice. So basically, you kind of had like a career shift within the monk ashram.
Yeah.
Would you say it like that?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. It feels a bit like that, especially because I cook for the restaurant, so it's a bit more, a bit more serious because there's an audience and certain standards, and you can't just.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not just for us within the temple. It's more like.
Yeah, it's got to be up to scratch.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what actually we was thinking about that, because last week we had Boma Vrindavan on, and he was talking about like farming, making, because they've been doing the farm, which is like 10 minutes from here, farming food and offering that to Krishna. And this whole idea of like, if you grow some vegetables in a good consciousness, then it kind of feeds into the end product. And I thought we'd get you on to talk about that, because it's a big part of being a cook for Krishna, is you have to have your head in the right place, and it's more than just like cooking in McDonald's. Maybe you can expand on that a little bit. But what would you say the difference is between like a commercial chef versus a monk chef?
But the first thing is we don't just cook. The first thing we do is actually we're serving. We're serving Krishna. We're serving the devotees, and we cook in order to serve them. So we don't just cook because we want to cook, but actually because we've been asked, can you cook please for Krishna? Can you do this? Can you do that? And in that mood of humble service, where we just do what we've been asked to do, then it just completely changes the substance of the activity of the service. We're not just cooking to survive or make money or feel good about ourselves. We're actually cooking to add something to the world in terms of not just feeding our bodies, but also feeding our souls, feeding our hearts. And I think that's what prasadam is about as well. It's spiritual food, right? It's not just material. So it nourishes not just the body and the mind, but also the soul. And that's, I think, the main difference.
That reminds me of that classic example of the bird in the cage. And the first time I came across that example, it really struck me that there's a cage, there's a bird inside, and the whole world most people are just polishing the cage, but the bird inside is screaming for some food. You know, it's very hungry. We actually acted this out in Rath Yatra. I was the bird, by the way. So I know this very dearly. But yeah, and then prasadam, that's like the soul food, right? That's the food for the bird, you know, and the bird becomes nourished by that food.
Yes.
It's quite a stark example.
It's definitely like an alien concept though, because I remember the first time I met Diallo on the street before I was even into Krishna consciousness. Like I was just like a bit of a punk guy, like, and he said, "Come to the temple. We have food that's been sanctified and offered to God." And I'd be like, "Sanctified and offered to God?" And I remember asking him, I was like, "What?" Maybe I can ask you now, Gangeya. What do you mean sanctified and offered to God? Like, what does that mean?
Yeah. So before we offer the food to Krishna, it's called bhoga, and basically it's something that is just material, and it's just material ingredients. So it's got nothing, spiritual about it. It's not sanctified. It's not sacred. But then, when the devotee cooks those ingredients in a mood of loving service to Krishna, in a mood of I'm going to offer this to Krishna, it starts to spiritualize, because that's the difference between spiritual activity and material activity, is the consciousness in which we do things. So it starts to spiritualize, and then when we offer the food to Krishna in a proper way, then Krishna accepts, and when he accepts and tastes this bhoga, this offering, then it becomes spiritualized. It becomes completely pure and sacred. It becomes actually non-different from Krishna. Why? Because Krishna is completely pure, and whatever enters in contact with becomes as well completely pure and spiritual. Like this. That's why it's sacred. That's why it's sanctified.
Okay, so you say you're offering this to Krishna. Like, what does that mean? Like, how can you offer the food to Krishna?
So, but first is Krishna doesn't just eat the ingredients, as we say, he eats the attitude. That's what he tastes, actually. He tastes the mood in which we cook. So we have to cook in loving devotion. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains that you can offer him a leaf, water, flower, and if you offer it with love, then he will accept it. So that's the first thing, that we offer with love. And then we offer, I say, in the proper way, meaning, in Krishna consciousness, we have certain rules, certain regulations, certain methodology on how we do things. And we do things in a certain way because Krishna is a person, and he has likes and dislikes. So he likes us to do it in a certain way. And so the acharyas, the spiritual teachers, like Prabhupada for us, he gave us a certain way to offer the food, certain mantras to say in a certain order, and certain things to do, certain rituals. It's a ritual like this. Yeah.
Interesting. But does Krishna actually eat the food? Because
yeah.
this is why when I met Diallo on the street, he's like, "Yeah, Krishna eats our food, and then we take what's left over."
Yeah.
And I was like, "What do you mean he eats? Does he come off his cloud and come down and have a bite like Santa Claus eating a cookie, or like what is this?"
Yeah, I mean it's quite mystical because it's not exactly what we experience when we eat, right? Like when we eat, we take the food, we put it in our mouth, we chew it, and then at the end there's nothing left in the plate. But when Krishna eats, it seems like nothing happened, right? To our vision. But actually, Krishna is completely spiritual. He's got a completely spiritual body beyond the material realm, and therefore we have to humble ourselves that we can't actually understand how Krishna works and what Krishna does. And if we would completely understand it, we would be actually liberated. We would be fully spiritual consciousness. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not take birth again in this material world. So we wouldn't be here if we could understand and figure out, could understand to a certain extent Krishna. So it's inconceivable. At the same time, Krishna, he comes and he tastes, and as I said, he doesn't really care about the offering in and of itself of the material ingredients that we propose, we offer. What he tastes, what he enjoys is the mood, the love that we in which we do that offering. And so that's what it really tastes, like this. Does that answer the question? Or?
Yeah, I think so. It's definitely like an unusual idea from our Western standpoint.
Yes.
But I can definitely attest, and people who go into Govinda's in Cardiff or Swansea will come to the temple and have some of the food. There's a different quality to it. There's some sort of spiritual potency to it, which you can't put your finger on.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
So is it only the monks that can cook food and offer it to Krishna, or is there a limit to that? Can say just a normal?
No, everyone. It's just a matter of attitude, of heart, of desire. You know, if you want to engage in spiritual life, you want to make your way back home, back to Godhead. So, and you understand that in order to do that, you have to offer your food to Krishna, so that you don't get the karmic reaction that you usually get when you eat, just material food. Even vegetarian food, there is karma. There is a karmic reaction to eating it. It's because the bhakti yogis, the spiritual practitioners, they don't want to be entangled in this material world. They want to go back home, back to Godhead, to the spiritual world. Therefore, they offer their food to Krishna with love, so that the food becomes spiritualized. And instead of creating more karma that entangles us within this material world, it actually purifies our heart and purify our karma, the reaction of our karma, so we can become free from the cycle of birth and death. Yeah,
it's interesting. Like Garanga, he just gave the Sunday talk, and he was talking about the ways to control. Our senses are out of control, and we're always doing stuff that we wish we didn't do, and spend hours on Instagram or whatever. There's a million ways to kind of be controlled by your senses. But he said the two ways you control is you start with the tongue. So he was saying you take this spiritualized food, the prasadam. That's how you can control your tongue, and also chanting Hare Krishna. So it seems like it's a bit of a cornerstone of this Bhakti Yoga path, right? This prasadam, spiritualized food. So if say you are just a new person who's getting into Bhakti Yoga, is there a really simplified way that I can offer my food, or is there some?
Yeah, I guess the main thing is Krishna he's concerned about how we do things, in the sense that there is a certain procedure, certain mantras that have been given in order to do that. But if you're not quite ready to take that, but it's quite simple. It's just 3 different mantras. You can, if you just put offering prasadam, offering food to Krishna on Google, you can find that procedure very easily. So it's not very hard. But if for some reason or another it's too hard for you, then Krishna, as we said, he doesn't care so much about the externals of what we do. He cares about the internals, the mood. So if you really desire to offer your food to Krishna, and you do it, in a humble, loving, devotional mood, then, if you just make your offering, put it somewhere with a picture of Krishna, and sincerely, pray, okay, Krishna, I made this food for you as an offering of love. Please accept it. I'm sure he will accept it. Yeah.
Sounds legit.
I remember my personal experience, with offering food for the first time. It was on holiday with my family in West Wales. It's not really relevant information, but I remember just, having the prayers on the paper. And for the first time, I'd make my morning porridge. I'd usually have porridge in the morning. And but this time, I'm going to offer it to Krishna. And I remember actually put it on a bowl, said the prayers, got the picture of Krishna out, did that procedure. And then when I actually sat down to eat the porridge later, it definitely felt like a different eating experience. It was like, oh, this is the right way to eat. And it's like, it was quite impressive. It was like this uplifting feeling in my consciousness. And, that really made a deep impression on my heart, that moment,
Nice, yeah.
Just so I would just say, for anyone out there who's kind of curious, just try it, just.
So you're saying get a picture. You said there's some prayers. Picture's a good one. I've seen a lot of the boys, they offer it to a Bhagavad Gita. Because Krishna's there, or It's real though. I always remember the story of Prema Ras, the other Prema, who's in Bath now. And he said when he first got into Krishna consciousness, they taught him about offering food like this. And he said he was in the pub and he would order a pint of beer. And then he'd say the prayers to offer the pint to Krishna. And he told me he was convinced that like Krishna accepted the beer because he accepts the love. Even though like we're not supposed to drink beer, like it's supposed to be sober and that, but that's the idea, is the intention and the mood of like, because I always like that idea, the selfless idea of like, okay, I'm not making this food just so that I can like eat it and enjoy it and, you know, like ravage the food.
Yeah. So much so that you're eating it before you finished making it.
Yeah, it's just, you're just wolfing it. But the whole meditation of it is like you're practicing that relationship of like, oh yeah, I want to try and please God. Because when you please God, you feel pleased yourself. It's like there's the Prahlad Maharaj gives the example in the Bhagavatam of like, if you put makeup on in the mirror, the reflection in the mirror also has makeup put on. So it's the same thing. Because we're a reflection of Krishna, if we please Krishna, then we become pleased because we're just a reflection, you know? So I think Shayan would like that makeup analogy as well. It's a good one. But anyway, sorry.
It just made me think as well that, you know, like
shots fired. Like
our process is also very personal, right? We're not impersonalists. Some people, some spiritual practitioners, they are categorized as impersonalists. They think that Krishna or God is just an all-pervading energy and is not a person. But we understand that there is Krishna's feature, impersonal feature, as an omniscient energy present within every atom of the creation. But at the same time, we understand that Krishna is also a person, not like you and me, quite. He's a spiritual, fully spiritual person. And when we offer food to Krishna, then it actually helps us to cultivate that relationship and that remembrance, reawaken that remembrance of that Krishna is actually a person, that we have a relationship with him based on love, based on service. And by doing that, we can daily remind ourselves, because we live in this material world, atmosphere of forgetfulness. And even though we may talk about it, we may read about it, we may practice this lifestyle, even for us who practice daily and are monks, you know, we tend to forget so easily. It's very hard to remember in this atmosphere, right? Sure. So doing that just helps us to just remember, basically.
Yeah, and it's interesting, like when you become a monk, not everyone's going to become a monk, but when you do become a monk, a big part of it is that you only take prasadam. So you only take like blessed, sanctified food. And I remember like when I first moved in, I was like, it's like the first week I was just kicking off because I was like, I just want to eat Cocoa Pops. And it was like, I was just kicking off. Like, I was just like really getting like annoyed because I was like, I just want my Cocoa Pops. And I'm not allowed Cocoa Pops because I can't offer them because they're made of the wrong thing to offer. Something like that. And it's like, but then the same thing as well. I remember a couple of months, maybe a few months later, I said to Gopal, I was like, I just want some milkshake. And he said, well, just go make some milkshake. Like make milkshake and offer it to Krishna. And then that will help. And it was like, that's what I did. And I remember like I made like hot chocolate and then I put it in with milk and put it in the freezer for a bit and offered it. And I had this milkshake that I made and it was it was a different experience, but it's like, but that is something that's I've kind of lost since leaving the ashram is my diet isn't 100% spiritualized food now. Sometimes I just go to Tesco's and get a meal deal and I can feel like gradually it like affects my perspective. Because like the type of food you eat, it really affects the way you see the world. Just like the type of music you listen to, the type of podcasts you listen to, YouTube or TV. It's like whatever you're putting in, it affects what's inside you. So it's like I'm wanting to start offering my food now and just hearing you guys speak. But I've got a confession. I never ever learned the prayers for offering food. Like being a monk for like 5-6 years, like I would just go like, I'd just sit down and have a chat with Krishna, like, hey Krishna, just made you this hot chocolate. I don't know if you want to eat it, you can eat it. Be really helpful for me if you did eat it, because then I could obviously take it as your leftovers. And I know it's a bit of it kind of worked, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's because I was just trying to actually trying to give him some milkshake or hot chocolate or whatever. So it's like that. But I would like to learn the prayers. So I guess we'll find them and put them in the description of the video.
Yeah, it's very simple. It's just 3 different...
Can you recite them?
Yes.
Just
so first you offer obeisance to your spiritual master. So we all have different spiritual masters, but for those who don't necessarily have an initiating guru, and for all of us, our spiritual master in ISKCON is Srila Prabhupada. So you recite this pranam mantra, which is a mantra to address him, address your respects to Prabhupada. So like this: Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Sarasvati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. That's the first mantra. And then you go to Lord Chaitanya, who is the most compassionate incarnation of Krishna, who came 500 years ago to distribute this process of Krishna consciousness very freely to all the conditioned souls. So we're very intimately connected with him, and especially in Cardiff, we have our deities Gaura Nitai, so that's Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. And so you offer show your respects to Lord Chaitanya. Namo Maha Vadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Goradvishinamaha. And then at the end, the last one, you offer your respects to Krishna. Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagad Hitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Because it's like it's a chain basically. We can't just jump to Krishna straight away, according to like the traditional procedure that's been given to us. We don't just approach Krishna directly. We approach Krishna through our gurus, through the devotees we serve, and they are direct manifestation of Krishna. So we offer the food first to our spiritual master, and then he offers it to Krishna. Like this.
It's pretty beautiful sounds as well.
Yeah.
Like the mantras. That's why I always like learning mantras, because it's a bit of a flex as well, isn't it? Like if you know a few mantras, it's like, this guy's like, he's proper. Like he's got some Indian stuff going on also.
It's authentic, yeah.
Yeah, it's authentic. So like, I'm getting a bit inspired, like, okay, I want to offer some food now. Is there specific foods? Like I was joking about the beer earlier. You can't really offer beer. Is there like specific food which is best to offer, or?
But Krishna only accepts vegetarian food. He doesn't accept fish, meat, or eggs, because that's what he, there's just a certain diet he recommends, for different species. If you're a tiger, then you can eat meat, and it's quite obvious when you contemplate a little bit how how the different bodies are set up. The bodies of a tiger, he's got these, it's not claws, it's like claws.
Yeah, it's claws.
Yeah, claws, and then sharp teeth, and his digestive tract is very small, because meat, it has to be digested quickly, because if it takes too long, then it rots. So he's got a short digestive tract, so he can digest meat properly. But human beings, we've got like our teeth, they're not very sharp, and they're meant more to chew, like vegetables, grains, etc. And our digestive tract is actually quite long, the intestine.
That's why you have to cook meat. If you want to eat meat, you got to cook it.
But we still have those
spiky teeth.
Sharp teeth, and this to give us a choice. To live a pious life, a virtuous life, or a sinful life. And so we can choose. But Krishna explains that he wants us to offer, he says only a leaf, fruit, water, flour. It doesn't say meat, eggs, fish. He
doesn't say Big Mac, Whopper, quarter pounder and cheese. If you offer me a quarter pounder with love, I will accept it.
So like this is quite clear that that's what he wants us to offer. So that's what we offer. We're not just vegetarian. We're how we say Krishnatarian. Yeah, we say. Is that,
yeah.
Prasadamtarian, I guess. Yeah.
Fair enough. No, go on.
I just wanted to ask, like, have you always been into cooking throughout your life, or is it something that kind of came about being in the ashram, or? So
I haven't been like into cooking all my life. I mean, I've been into eating, I think, all my life. But yeah.
You went for it.
Yeah, my mother is a really good chef. She's very creative, and she gave me that kind of education of trying to eat, trying to respect what we eat, and make something special, in a mood of also serving each other, pleasing each other, something nice. And she always made a point that it has to be nice and tasty, but also beautiful. And she would always set up the table very nicely. She's very artistic. Just she's got that mood, and she's very selfless as well. She's very giving, and she likes to spend hours in the kitchen just to give a nice meal for her friends or family. So yeah, I had that kind of education. I would go a lot to the restaurant with her, because she likes to go out. So I tasted, all sorts of different foods. Not always vegetarian, unfortunately, but at least I've got some kind of experience anyway. And then I mainly started to cook when I was a bit older, maybe like 15, 16. I started to make some sweets here and there, because I like sweets. In case you don't know, I think everyone knows in our temple. So I would just make some sweets, just to enjoy some nice sweets, basically. I remember I was always frustrated when there was sweets, for like a dinner or something, because I had, most of the time you could only have one piece, because you had to share with everyone. And I was like, within myself, even as a child, I was like, I just don't see the point, you can only have one piece. I'm not into it at all. I'm just like, so I would just make sweets and just eat loads of sweets on my own, basically. But that was the first kind of the beginnings, very selfish consciousness. And but then where I really started to cook, I'd say, is when I became vegetarian, actually. Because when you become vegetarian, you can't just go anywhere and eat anything. You have to, cook. And also, if you want to remain vegetarian, you have to learn to cook something nice and palatable. Otherwise, it's too austere and you go back to meat, right? So I did that for a while. I was in France, and then I traveled and I went to New Zealand. And that's where I started to become actually passionate by cooking. I had my van. And I was cooking in my van. I had like 2 little burners, and I was eating a lot of raw food as well. I was like just really into vegetables and fruits, and I would just cook. And I started to be very creative. And I worked in different restaurants as well, in France and in New Zealand. And I would always kind of discuss with the chef and look at what they do and learn from them. And in New Zealand, I just learned a lot from the place where I was working as a waiter, and little by little, I started to cook, and it was quite successful. And so my friends were quite appreciative and quite encouraging. I have really nice friends. They really encouraged me to cook more, and so I became inspired by that. Especially the sharing aspect. You cook something, you spend time, and then you share it with your friends, and you really eat it in a grateful mood. We were
Conscious.
we were quite funny. We were like hippies, we were like super, like sometimes we would not talk at all during during eating, during the meal. We would just like close our eyes and take like, maybe an hour to eat and just really chew and just be conscious of every bite. That was an interesting, that's pretty far out, but that was an interesting exercise. I remember there was a restaurant we used to go, it was called The Courtyard, and they had this chocolate tart. And that was like the most amazing chocolate I've ever had. I'd like to learn to make it, but the recipe is secret, actually. He doesn't want to share it, the chef. And I would go there with my friend, my best friend at the time, and my girlfriend at the time. And we would just eat, we'd just have one chocolate tart each and take like a good half an hour to have it, just one piece, And we just close our eyes and really like relish it. And we're just completely oblivious to the environment, and the people around us, and basically everyone was just like laughing, and what are those freaks? They're just crazy people. And the chef, we would come regularly to do that. It was just like a ritual for us, and it was just really funny.
I would have been looking at you a bit weird, to be
Yeah.
honest with you. No, it's an interesting point you touched on there with your mum, though. Like this idea of cooking. She loved to cook a nice meal for you. It's like there's a reason that cooking is an act of devotion to God. Like it is the ultimate, like, here. Like, you know, like, I've made this for you. Like if your mum cooks you a home-cooked meal, there's something special and nourishing, and it gives you power that you cannot get from a Big Mac or a Tesco meal deal. It's not the same. Like even on a material platform, it charges you up. So it's like
Everyone knows the reputation of mother's cooking, right? Mother's love.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that.
They infuse the cooking.
Definitely the energy. Yeah, we were really into that as well as in my hippie period. We were really like trying to cook in a nice consciousness, because we were talking about it, right?
Yeah.
Spiritual consciousness, but even before that, just material, even purely materially speaking. If you cook, whatever you do, if you do it in a certain mood, certain energy, that infuse what you do, right? So when you cook like this, then the food has a completely different vibration, energy, right? Yeah. And you can feel that, yeah.
Nice.
There's actually a little verse about that, because I wanted to share a verse about prasadam, and it talks about how it inspires us and helps us to become just inspired and joyful in our service. And it says
Offering food to Krishna.
Eating.
Honoring prasadam. Yeah.
Okay, that's offered to Krishna. Okay.
It's from a poet called Surdas. He says, "O maiden of Vraj, please mercifully feed me with the remnants of Krishna's food, even if it has fallen to the ground. When the tasty sabjis and chapatis touch my tongue, rasa means like flavor or mellows, rasa starts dancing in my mouth in 6 various forms. The sweet curd and ghee give the power to continue my service. What else can Surdas say? The prasadam of the Lord is the only maintenance of my life."
So you could talk about prasadam forever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when we were in India, we went to like this was a couple of years ago. We went to where I think it was where Radharani cooks breakfast for Krishna, like this place in Vrindavan, and this like Swami cooked for us, and I think he just made like khichdi with chapatis, something like that, and we just ate it, and it was like just like levels, like you just feel like whoa. It's like your consciousness just gets dialed up because this monk who's just like, he's just a monk from this holy place in a little like stone shack building, and we're all there, and there's just a little bit of khichdi, which is just like rice and dal and a little bit of bread, simplest food you could ever think of, but it was just like your whole consciousness just becomes like leveled up. So it's like what you're saying, like it's more than just food. If you get into it as well, if you get into Krishna consciousness and you think about, like I remember when we was in the ashram, I think it was Vamshi said to me, he's like, you don't enjoy the prasadam, the food enjoys you. Think about that one. It's like the food is Krishna and he's enjoying your tongue. I don't know. It's a bit of a twist. It's a weird meditation, but like I remember I kind of did what you guys did with the tart once, and I like sat there and I really slowly, just like ate it very slowly, and I was like, okay, the prasadam is going to enjoy me, and I remember I was just like, that was a proper way to eat it, really, rather than just like get as much as I can on my plate, stuff it down my face. It's like slow and deliberate.
Prabhupada would eat in silence, usually on his own, and very, when you see videos of him eating prasadam, honoring prasadam, he's very respectfully, very meticulously, very rhythmically. It's like a symphony when you see him honoring prasadam. And you realize, well, there's a lot about prasadam I'm not aware of. It's unlimitedly deep, right? Because it's not different from Krishna, and that's why in that prayer also he says, I honor the prasadam of the Lord, even if it has fallen on the ground. Even if it falls on the ground, it remains Krishna. It remains completely pure. There's a really nice pastime actually where Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur, the spiritual master of Srila Prabhupada, he was somewhere in India, I'm not sure where, and they were doing, I think, the Govardhan Puja festival. It's like a big festival, and where they offer a lot of food to Krishna, and there was like big mountains of rice, and that the villagers had cooked, and a dog came and bite into it. It was already offered. It was already prasadam. Bite into it, and then they came to Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur, the spiritual authority, and said, "Sorry, Maharaj, we just have a problem. A dog came. In India, a dog is considered quite, dirty and low class. It's not like we don't have at all the same culture as in the Western world, and so." Say, yeah, a low-class dog has, contaminated the offering. What can we do, And then Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur said, bring me to the place right now and let me examine it, So he went there and they showed him exactly where the dog had bitten on it. And he just took a morsel of food from there and ate it. And he looked at them and said, Prasadam is non-different from Krishna. It can never be contaminated. Because it's sanctified, right? It's completely pure. So, yeah.
It's not material at all. Nice.
I was also thinking, like, if you like the feeling that you get from intoxication, like the buzz, the high, then prasadam is also for you. Like you can
get high off that.
You can, and there's a little story of. Because we're talking about the consciousness of the person who cooks going into the food. And so if someone who's really, really serious about their spiritual life cooks, then you can really taste that consciousness. And Srila Prabhupada, there's a story when in the early days he was cooking for the devotees and he cooked, I think it was just a khichdi, and there's a room full of devotees, all chatting, all excited. He served them himself. He went round, because that's the other thing, is the person who serves the prasadam also, their consciousness will actually affect the experience, So he went round and served the devotees. They sung the prayers. I think Prabhupada had to leave at this point, but they were all, really excited and chatting, and then they started eating, and actually the whole room just gradually went silent when they tasted this prasadam, and the devotees were just in awe, not only at the taste, but just the feeling that they were getting from tasting the food. And it's described that they were just, the room was completely silent. They just finished their plates, and then they slowly all just kind of, looked at where the pot was, where there was like a tiny bit remaining, and they all slowly went to the pot and just tried to get the last bit, but it's I always like that story. We've got that experience, like myself at the festivals, especially Govardhan Puja and stuff. The food, it just has a special energy. You just feel a buzz.
Yeah. And in 3 days from this podcast going out, there's a festival. It's Gaurapanim. Absolutely correct. This Tuesday, the 3rd of March 2026, is Gaura Purnima, which is the appearance of the golden monk Lord Chaitanya. We're having a festival down at Bayview House in Cardiff Bay at 4 p.m. until 8 p.m. And if you want a chance to experience this delicious prasadam, this spiritualized, sanctified food that we're talking about on the podcast, then please make it part of your plan for next week, 4 p.m. till 8 p.m. T. Krishna, Bayview House, Gaurapanim. Back to the podcast. Yeah, sounds good, doesn't it?
Yeah. We've just had a feast ourselves.
Yeah.
Every Sunday.
To be honest, as we're talking, I can see that this is an endless subject. Like, because there's all kinds of things, like the idea of Maha Prasadam. So, like, if you cook in the temple, if they cook a massive feast, but they take a little bit of each of the curries, the sabjis, and the breads, and they put that on a plate, and they offer that plate to Krishna, the deities. But like that plate is like Maha. It's like the is it more specialer? but you can steal maha. So like there's no rules with maha. Like you're allowed to steal it once it's been offered. So there's been many times where I've been at like festivals in the manor or New Dam where I like figure out where that is and steal it, and like that is part of the fun as well, is stealing maha prashadam, because you get more levels, level up. So
it's like about being like, we encourage devotees to be greedy to receive the mercy of the Lord, right? And that's what prasadam means. Actually, it means mercy. And I like what you said as well at the beginning, that when you offered your food to Krishna, you are begging him, please accept this food so that I can also make spiritual advancement. Because serving Krishna doesn't need our service, right? He's like fully independent, fully satisfied, fully competent. He doesn't need anything from us. He's unlimited, we are limited. But he gives us the opportunity to serve him, so that we can purify our hearts and go back to the spiritual world and reestablish our relationship with him. And then, when we're in pure consciousness, he also just appreciates the exchanges of love. It's a simple thing at the end of the day, right? It's just exchanges of love. And I mean, if we contemplate the fact that we are persons, that's what makes the juice of life, right? It's the exchanges we have between each other, and when those exchanges are sweet, made with love, with respect, then they are pleasurable, they are enjoyable, and so that's rasa, right? So that's what Krishna likes, because that's what we like. That's what we like because that's what Krishna likes, and Krishna is a person, so yeah, he likes high rasas.
There's a really nice example in that regard, like how if a father and let's say a father and his daughter, so you have the daughter, and the daughter might come to the father and say, look, Dad, this is for you, and it's just a crayon, and the dad's actually, he's bought the crayons for the daughter. The crayon is the dad's property, but the daughter offers it with such sincerity and such love that the father feels like the love behind the offering. And that's that, we can see that even in that material relationship, that it's not necessarily the physical offering, but it's the transaction of love between one person to another. So the perfection of that is that transaction of love between the soul and Krishna.
Yeah. What can I say after that?
Thanks for watching, everyone. That's been an episode. Hare Krishna.
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namane Nama Namaste Saraswati Devam Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Sunyavari Pachatyaja Satarini Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namani Namah Namaste Saraswati Devam Gauravani Pracharini
Haribo, Haribo. Haribo, Haribo. Haribo, Haribo. Go Nityananda go. Haribo, Haribo. Go Nityananda go. Haribo, Haribo. Haribo, Haribo. Haribo, Haribo. Haribo, Haribo. Haribo, Haribo. Go Shigarana go. Haribo, Haribo. Go Shibata go. Haribo, Haribo. Haribo, Haribo. Haribo, Haribo. Haribo, Haribo. Haribo, Haribo. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, go. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare 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 Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare